Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday afternoon. I always have to double check because if I say morning, I look like an idiot. Yeah, whatever it is you're doing today, if you're at work, you're going to the gym, you're at the pub, whatever it is, I hope you're enjoying it. I enjoyed being at the pub last night watching the Manchester United and Arsenal games. Very much enjoyed watching the games that last night. I know you will as well. This video, we're talking a little bit around an update on the centre-half area. We're also going to be talking about some injury issues, some good, some bad, some potentially good and bad. We'll sort of get into it, so don't worry about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight in with the transfer news, because I think most of you will click on this video purely for that reason alone. And this comes from Fijas, I don't know, Spanish outlet. And it says that Tottenham's priority is signing a new centre-back in January. Galatasaray defender Victor Nelsson is a target and the club are willing to meet his €30 million release clause. Now, we've been linked with Victor for a little while now, and there's a few things I think about with this deal. First and foremost, Spurs and Galatasaray evidently have a decent enough relationship when it comes to transfers. Evidenced by the last transfer window where Davinson Sanchez and Tanguy Ndombele both went to Galatasaray. What I do find interesting is last night against Man United, he actually didn't start. I think he played 6 minutes. Something like that. Davinson Sanchez started. So he's a player that, you know, has played an all right amount of football this season. But what I have found interesting is that they have also relied on other centre-halves, which means he could be expendable. Okay. So with Victor, okay, he's a Danish international. He's played 10 times for the senior team. He, according to Transfer Market, is worth up to €19 million as recorded on September 27th. So, yeah, we're looking basically about a week away, really. So, he's a player that isn't crazy expensive. And, you know, the fact that he's also 24, I think blends really nicely into the whole Spurs ethos of, you know, someone between 19 and 25, you know, not just yet hitting their prime, but can get coached up before they hit their prime so they can hit another level. The other thing that I noticed, summer of 2026, that is when his contract expires, okay? So let's sort of talk about how Victor has done really in the last, well, this season as well as last season. So I'll start actually with last season. I think it's a fair representation because obviously that's a bigger body of work. So last season, he played in 33 games in the Turkish league. 1 assist, 5 yellow cards. Didn't score a goal, but played just short of 3,000 minutes. So was very crucial in the season there. And he played 2 games in the cup as well. He actually did score 1. So he's got 1 goal in the cup in 2 games, which is not bad for a defender. And 1 assist in the league in 33. So was a guy that was quite crucial last year to Galatasaray. When we fast forward now into the 2023-24 season, so the current season, he's played in 12 games in different competitions. So you've got the Champions League qualifiers, the league, and also the Champions League. So through the qualifiers, he played 5 games and he registered 450 minutes. So played a lot of football in those qualifiers. He's played 5 times in the league, registering 366 minutes, and he's played twice in the Champions League, registering 82 minutes. So even though they've brought in Davinson Sanchez, even though they have other centre-halves, he's still a key part to the central half area. Again, if you're playing in multiple competitions, you need to have multiple options, don't you, right? The thing I found interesting is, yes, potentially the release clause of €30 million. The transfer market were sort of rating him around €19 million. The fact he's 24, you know, Danish international, all these things kind of line up really nicely for a Spurs move. The reason I say that is he's not crazy expensive. You know, he's not reaching his prime anytime soon. He's still got another few years before he gets there. He plays regular football anyway, so you're going to have loads of body of work on him. And I just don't see him being crazy expensive on the whole wages front either. So that plays a massive part. Then on top of that, you know that Spurs and Galatasaray have good communication around transfers, which is another thing. So definitely I will keep an eye on that, because I know through the summer, multiple people in the comment section are always talking about how Spurs should be going for Victor Nelsson. I think they'll be happy to see that Spurs have genuinely been linked to him. So a little something there. I want to talk a little bit about the injury situation at the moment. So I'm going to start with the bad. As I always say, start with the bad, finish with some goods, a bit more of a better feeling around the place. And I'm actually going to start with Brennan Johnson. So this came from Charlie Eccleshare via The Athletic, who said that Brennan Johnson hasn't been called up to the Wales squad for the forthcoming games and will miss the trip to Luton on Saturday. So Brennan Johnson injuring or feeling his hamstring in the North London derby. It was a bit of tightness and so forth. And with hamstrings, they can go the first minute, the 90th minute. They have a mind of their own sometimes, hamstrings. And I know how painful they can be and how annoying they can be. The rest of your body feels amazing, but one hamstring's letting you down. It's not the end of the world, because I think we do have other options at the moment. I also think him having a few weeks off because of missing last weekend, missing this weekend, missing 10 days of international football, however long the international break's going to be. He's actually going to have 3 to 4 weeks off. So he should come back feeling quite fresh, which players who we have in this squad who have to travel thousands of miles when it comes to the international break, if we've got someone in-house who's not going to have to do that, that's very beneficial. Very beneficial. So that's on some bad news. Some so-so news around Heung Son. So we've kind of been alerted to the fact that Heung Son at the moment isn't really training in the week. He currently is dealing with a groin issue. So this came from Paul O'Keefe, who I think a lot of people just through Fantasy Premier League have said, is Son okay? Is he injured? What's happening with him? Paul O'Keefe said he doesn't always train lately, managing his workload currently so he can play weekends. Okay, he's not managing it as bad as Ledley King used to. We all know he used to have to really sort of wrap himself up in cotton wool and bubble wrap. But it is something to really be wary of. Again, the same person did ask Paul, do you expect him to play at the weekends or at start? And Paul O'Keefe said, at the moment, we'll know more at the end of the week because he should hopefully train. It's a worry, for sure. But Son has always been a player that's never really sat out with injury or an injury that, could hinder him. He's always tried to play through the pain because that's the kind of player he is and that's how much he loves Spurs. And you can't fault him for that. I'd be interested to see do they sit him on the bench and say, look, we're going to play Solomon out the left, we're going to play Richie through the centre, and we're going to play Kulusevski on the right. You're going to be on the bench, and if we need you, we'll bring you on. Or does he go with the route that I think he'll go through, which is the route that we've been going through the last few weeks, is 60, maybe 70 minutes, and we're subbing you off, trying to save you. I wouldn't mind that as long as we're sort of 2-3-0 up, and then you can kind of put other players in, save him, and same what we're doing with Maddison. I think a lot of fans kind of live in the moment and go, why are we taking off our two most creative and dangerous players? It's because they can't really play 90 minutes at the moment. They're playing through pain barriers. So you've got to be realistic. They are human beings after all. But yeah, a little bit of so-so news on Son. A little bit of good news is we've not really heard anything on Maddison and potentially him being injured. So I think Maddison should be all ready to rock and roll for the weekend from what I've seen. I've not seen too much, which is always a good thing. If you're not seeing anything, it's a good thing. And the last thing I want to talk about is this whole VAR thing with Liverpool. Just really quickly. It's boring now, I can't lie. Now, I completely understand we need to be holding them accountable. Not saying that I'm bored of that. I respect the fact that we're putting people's feet to the fire. What I am bored of is this, and this came from the Mirror, who said that the Premier League could decide to replay Tottenham Hotspur's Premier League game with Liverpool if an appointed commission rules that the match officials breached the laws of the game when it came to ruling out Luis Diaz's goal. Look, I don't see the game being replayed, and if they do try and replay it, it'll be a farce. It will make VAR actually look even worse. It will make the Premier League look even worse because you know what? If Spurs have, let's say this weekend, a situation where Luton, get a penalty, or we don't get a penalty that's a blatant penalty, or a sending off should be a sending off, or an offside goal, we'll have that game replayed then. And that's why it won't be replayed. You can't allow one game to do that, because then you open up Pandora's box of carnage. You're never going to complete a full season, because you're going to be replaying games from September in January, for example, and if something goes wrong in that game, you're replaying it again in March, and then you might have to replay it again in May, and then through the summer, you're playing through the summer. So you see, it's not going to happen. I don't think it will happen. We need to move on with it. Liverpool need to be taking this up with the PGML themselves, and Spurs needs to be just left out to the side, because it's not our fault that players got sent off. It's not our fault that goals got ruled out. We're nothing to do with VAR. We need to move on now. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy it. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section below around the Victor Nelsson situation. Would you want Victor at the club? Would he be your centre-back option? I'm interested to see what you guys think of that. We're definitely linked with a few players, especially some young players coming through, looking quite impressive at the moment. Also, in the comments section, let me know around the situation around Son. Would you start Son at the weekend, or would you rest him on the bench, or what would you do? I'm interested to see what you think of that. I think that's a real healthy debate to have there for sure. Also, let me know around, really, the VAR situation. Are you unimpressed that this thing is still lingering? Are you happy that, you know, it is lingering? What is it, your thoughts on VAR at the moment? I'm interested to see that as well. Anyway, subscribe to the channel if you are new, okay? And hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.